day. And the name of the program is called Can We Talk? And I'm here with Charles
Scott
Jr.
How you guys doing? As we continue to do these episodes, remember, if you miss one, don't worry. Go on YouTube, go on TikTok, go on Twitter. There's links to full episodes. We're probably well over 100 now. But like I said, this show is great because it's not just about real estate. It's about what's going on in the world, which I'll say is a big part of it is real estate.
And there's a lot of things going on in the world.
Yes.
And it's all over territory.
Yeah, how about that?
Territory's land, and it's all about buildings and finance.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of things going on, and we're here to sort of give you an idea and an insight as to what's happening within the local community and also within at least a couple 100 miles radius. Because we travel from city to city and actually state to state. Name of our company is called Tri-State Realty.
I will say we're in the center of Connecticut. Everybody's coming into Connecticut, whether it be from Massachusetts into Connecticut. We specialize mostly in New Yorkers coming into Connecticut. We do relocation specialists. But great state to live in. We're seeing, although the prices you see going up, but they're going up because of a reason. There's a demand. People want to live here. There's great resources. Give us a call if you're coming from New York. We get a lot of New York viewers on this program. We make the process very easy.
And in real estate, everything is what's fair. In other words, what's fair to you, what's fair to the other person. I know you were just telling me about a young lady who we sold her a condo, and now she wants to, buy another unit and move out of the condo. And she's saying, oh, try and find me a good deal. And something, doesn't cost a lot. Anybody out there selling some good deals? And say, well, you got to look at it this way. When you go to sell your unit, if someone said that to you, you're going to say, oh, I want as much as I can get.
Exactly.
So it averages itself out where, you always want to get the best deal that you can get. But if you're selling something, you also want to get the best deal that you can get in selling it.
And I'll tell you, that's what I have to explain to my customers, more like educate them on how the market works. I mean, you can say something like, well, my neighbor got this price, but what did your neighbor house have that your house did not have? When did your neighbor sell their house? During what market? Were interest rates lower? Were they higher? So that's when we come in for what we call it, a free CMA. It's free. Give us a call. We come by our house, or you send us pictures. I've done a lot of CMAs over the phone where we'll tell you what your market value would be in this market. No sales pressure, just good information to have on your part. Don't trust Zillow, Redfin. Like I said, those are marketing apps. They don't know what's going on the inside of your house. Is your basement finished? Do you have a pool? Do you have a jacuzzi in your tub? A lot of factors that can add value to your property.
Yeah, many things can change as far as your particular property. And, and even when we market the property, a lot of people that buy a property in some cases live right in the neighborhood. We put a sign up, and the next thing you know, people within that community may have a brother or sister that wants to live next door to them. What's happened since COVID, a lot of people moved into Connecticut from New York.
Yes.
And the trend is that it's sort of like they bought all of the neighbors with them. You go up and down some streets. I remember it got to the point of where, I would take someone out to show them a house, and there'd be a line of cars, all the new neighbors and the new people that bought homes, all of them be from the same area of New York or wherever it may be, Norwalk, Stamford. Because once one person moves in, then the next thing to know, the people visit them, their relatives visit them, and the relative end up buying a house.
I'll say that's what happens with a lot of our deals, especially those, I'll say, in different suburban areas where they realize, oh, my uncle lives on the street, or my father lives on the street. You put the for sale sign up, then it attracts more of the relatives because they realize this is a great place, and they keep their jobs, maybe it be in New York, down Stamford, Greenwich, and they commute. They realize commute is not that bad. Why not go up to Bridgeport, Stratford, where they can actually save some money?
The other thing is that we in the past have been talking a lot about residential properties, condos, co-ops, but we also do commercial properties.
Yes.
So if a person out there is looking to sell a business, right now a lot of entrepreneurs are being created. If you're looking to sell your business, you may have, you may not own the building, but you may have a long-term lease, or you may have a grocery store.
Inventory, products,
whatever it may be. And, believe it or not, a lot of people are looking for churches. In other words, the churches they started out in a storefront church in the corner. They started out with 15 members, and now they have 80 members, and they need more space. So there's buildings out there that can be converted into a church. If you have a building and you're looking to lease that building out, if you have a commercial building that you're looking to sell, or even a business, give us a call. We can come out and we can look at that business for you.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of interest and a lot of people out there now looking to start their own business, a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And we can come and look at your business, give you an idea of what you can sell that particular business for. Or if you are looking to find one, give us a call. We can, give you an idea of what's available out there and within the different areas. And there's a lot of changes going on within the cities right now as far as the zoning, the parking.
Yes, especially the parking.
Like you said, especially the parking. The parking is a big part of it. So give us a call. We can also assist you, whether it's a residential, a condo, even a co-op. We do a lot of co-ops.
Do a lot of co-ops. People giving us a call every day, just asking us. Even if you have questions about how the co-ops work, people. A lot of people send me co-ops thinking they're condos. They're not condos.
Yeah, they get confused.
Big difference between condos and co-ops. Give me a call. I'll explain it to you, and you'll say, okay, that's why I see it's priced for this certain amount versus this amount. I'm saying, yeah, that's a co-op. I mean, you're cooperative versus a condo where you actually own it and you fix things inside. Very different.
Also, we're looking at different types of situations, such as probate. We do the probate situations.
Oh, yes.
We were just discussing that when you're dealing with probate, there's so many different avenues in which you go. A lot of people, when they think of probate, they think a person died and therefore they're selling the house. The estate is selling the house.
Not always the case.
But that's not always true.
Exactly. Sometimes a person could be going to a convalescent home. Title 19 is kicked in. They need to sell the house, liquidate that in order to pay for the care they're going to be getting every day.
That's true. So, it could be a person that's, not able, maybe got Alzheimer's, maybe dementia, and they're not able to do their paperwork or stay in the house. They may not have any, local relatives, and they have a home. So therefore, there's an administrator put in charge of their estate.
What's hard though? It's hard to find an agent that specializes in all these. Think about it, probate, from us using time to own, first-time home buyers programs.
We do it all.
We do it all. Very hard to find an agent that specializes. I'll say we're very well-rounded. We do this 24/7. A lot of agents.
We got 40 years experience.
40 years experience here. I've been doing this for 17 years. But the thing is, you'll talk to some agents. I'll talk to some of my colleagues. I'm like, what do you think about that time to own program? They're like, what program? Or, you ever do probate? I've heard of it. I don't know how it works exactly. So, like I said, we're agents that we read the details. We have different experiences. And if you have a probate situation, I'll say we're the best bet because we talk to probate attorneys. They actually love talking to us because we know how the process works.
Right.
It's a very patient process, and there's certain things that have to have in place. And we know what offers. We guide you on the offer. Then it's your choice, but we'll tell you which offer is going to be the smoothest journey to closing.
And probate is different from city to city.
Yes.
I think in the last month I testified in Norwalk, testified in Bridgeport, and New Haven. And these are all before the judges. Most of them now are done on their Zoom, or they call it, what is it, Cenex or something like that. They have a, what they call Zoom meetings.
Yes.
And they have the members of the family that come in. So at the realtor estate agent, in my capacity, I come in, give an idea of the value, how long the house has been on the market, how many people saw the house, and review the different offers that come in on the property.
Now wait a minute, you go to court and you testify on Zoom in the morning?
No, everything is on Zoom.
A lot of agents have regular jobs. They can't do that.
No.
Imagine you're an agent. Oh, I couldn't go to the probate hearing and fight for your offer because I had to go to my regular job.
I had to go to work.
Versus Charles Scott, he's on a Zoom meeting at 10 a.m. with evidence supporting your offer. So yeah.
Right. These are the things that we do. In other words, we get you the best value.
Yes.
We get you the best dollars because not only that, before we even get to the court, we've been marketing the property, entertaining viewings, showing. Actually, we even stage the property.
Yes.
Make sure the grass is cut.
Do video tours on the property.
Do a video tour.
Photos. We reach out to people out of state. So above and beyond.
there's more to it than just getting the property and throwing it out there. You know, we have a lot of different things that, you know, advising the family, advising the attorneys, dealing with the attorneys.
Yes.
There's a lot that has to do with it. Like if you have a property, or even if it's not even in probate, maybe you have a, you know, a senior citizen or someone.
Let's say you have a reverse mortgage. We help people
that's another thing.
specialize in that. I'll say it's very tricky, but we've had a lot of experience in it. Whether it means contacting the company, getting the right to contact the company, seeing what the payoff is. A lot of things you may not be able to do until you get the death certificate and then get the authority to call the company. But we have a specialization in all that.
Yeah, and like I said, we want a disclaimer, we're not attorneys.
Not attorneys
We
at all.
don't give legal advice.
Nope.
But there's as far as the real estate agent, where we come in, even with a reverse mortgage, there's no one case that fits it where you can take advice from someone and they can tell you.
Everything's
and
different.
then
Every
you
case
say,
is different.
well, my cousin told me, or my friend had this, and this is what happened. Every case is totally different, so that, you know, when we sit down, we ask a lot of questions, you know.
Yes.
Even, you know, as far as who's living in the house. Do they have permission to live in the house?
Very true.
You know, the other thing that a lot of people don't realize, what's important with the reverse mortgage, what's important with any house is how much debt there is. What's owed
Correct.
on the property. In other words, what you think may be owed on the property and what is actually owed on that property could be two different
Could be
things.
two different things. When we
Yeah.
come in, we do a CMA, and then when we sit down with you and we list the house, we're gonna go over that with you. What debts are on the house? Are there any open permits on the house? That's something that we run into a lot also. But remember, we're full-time agents where, unlike some agents that can only cater to you certain times a day or, you know, certain times of the week, we're available 24/7. Well, I'll pick the phone up 24/7, just saying, because I want to make sure you guys are taken care of, most definitely.
You know, going back to COVID, or before COVID, long time even before COVID, back in the 1980,
Going back to the 80s.
2008, 2008,
okay.
right around the 2000s. You know, we used to do a lot of short sales.
Oh, yes.
And
Wow.
people today, like you say, short sale, before short sales came around, most people didn't know what a short sale
How about
was.
that?
And now that it's been a while, a lot of agents that got their license recently, they still
don't know what
they
short
still don't know what
sales
a
are.
short sale is. But, you know, with a short sale, we had to make sure we knew how much money was owed, because what happened is that you got a house, you're selling the house back then maybe $250,000. So we're selling the house for $250,000. We spend 3-4 months, we get a buyer, we go to the closing, and you know, the property, that the amount of money owed on that property could be $300,000.
Very true.
So it's actually selling for less than what's owed on it. So then we got to ask the bank to give us permission, or give the seller the permission to sell the property
Exactly.
for less money than what is owed on the property. And then also, if they're lucky, the bank will not pursue them for the difference, the deficiency. So it got kind of tricky and kind of involved, but the main thing we had to know is what is owed on the property.
So what you're saying is a short sale is exactly the opposite of what that is. It's actually a long sale because a lot of negotiations involved. Well, if there's one or
If
two,
you don't know what you're doing.
you know what you're doing. Imagine if there's one mortgage, second mortgage, third mortgage.
Oh, it could be
Who
more.
gets paid first? Who gets in line? What if there's other debtors on there? What if there's liens? Somebody did the roof, solar panels. A lot of things can be within a short sale.
Right. Now, what I'm getting at too is that during COVID, a lot of people did not have to make their mortgage payments.
Correct.
The government gave a lot of leeway and said, oh, you don't have to pay your mortgage for a year, and then you can resume paying your mortgage.
Exactly.
So now recently I'm selling a house. You got to follow me here. And the seller is figuring out how much his mortgage is and how much he's going to make on the property after expenses, the lawyer, the closing costs. And then all of a sudden I got a call the other day, and he said, oh, you know what? They did the title search, and the lawyer says that I owe $30,000 more on the house than I thought. I says, why? He says, well, during the COVID, I took advantage of the modification
Oh, yes.
and I didn't have to make any payments on the mortgage. And I forgot about that. But one of the things that they do is that when you go to sell the house, you've got to pay them back that money that
Yes.
they didn't give you. Remember, they didn't give you any money, but you've got to pay them for all that interest. They let you go for a whole year without
Yep.
making any payments. So that money that the bank lost that they would have received in the interest payments, they didn't forget about it. They're like elephants.
Oh, yeah.
They said, oh, you
Banks have a
know,
long memory.
by the way, you know, you didn't pay us for a whole year.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about paying us the principal, but the interest that grew on that, we're adding it onto your mortgage at the end of the mortgage. So now you're selling the house, so that's another $30,000 that it doesn't show on your monthly payment on
Yep.
your statement, but you've got to pay that. So you know, there's a lot of things that you have to make sure of and you have to be aware of. So these are the things that as an experienced agent that we look into, because now you're thinking you're getting one thing and you find out that you're not getting that money that you thought you were getting.
Very true. That's why when we sit down with you, we ask if there's any outstanding mortgages, any modifications, were you ever going through foreclosure and had a company or nonprofit help you reorganize the mortgage? Because remember, when you go to sell the house, there may be some liens on your property from these loans you've taken out that must be paid back.
hmm The other thing too is that we run into, and this is often, is that when you go to sell the house, you might have paid off, you might have had, like you said, you know, you can have a first mortgage and then maybe you borrowed some money, you got another mortgage on the house and you borrowed money. You might have 2 or 3 mortgages on that house.
Yep.
And now you go to sell the house and they find out about all of those mortgages that are on the property. All those mortgages now have to be paid off because they're liens on the property. So these are things that, you know, you have to be aware of. A lot of times people forget about all of those liens that are on the property.
Yes.
So more or less it's, you know, experience in finding these things out ahead of time, because when you go to pay for them, as long as, you know, you got to pay for them, you just can't ignore it, because no one's going to buy the property and then pay your bills off. I mean, I can't say no one will, depending upon, you know.
All depends on how you price the property.
Everything in real estate is negotiable.
Everything's negotiable.
Someone could say, well, you know what, I'll buy your property and I'll pay off your bills as long as you give it to me for $30,000 less.
Yep, exactly. There's always a negotiation
Everything's
point.
negotiable.
Very true. And we're seeing that every day. For example, you know, like I said, BMFR are full-time agents. We negotiate for you. We help first-time homebuyers. We specialize in that. But right now, we also help people who want to list their house. People may say, I have to go fix this, fix that. We're still in a strong seller's market where you can sell your house as is. Invite us over with a student at CMA. We'll point out certain things that you should have fixed. But don't go overboard. We're still in a market where you can tap into that equity without having to fix up everything to a perfect, 100%, I'll say.
And don't go
Don't go paving the front, your driveway. Don't do that.
using exotic colors, the
Building the
painting,
deck over.
building the deck over, changing out, you know, unless you can get materials very cheaply, affordable, and you know, and you have good taste as far as what to do. Most of the trends now are for a light gray interior.
Yes.
Paint everything that color. Don't have one room gray, one room silver, one room blue, one room
red.
no, kitchen yellow.
Oh, yeah.
In other words, use the same color throughout the entire house. Years ago, it used to be eggshell white.
Oh, yeah.
And you know that was the color then. That's dated. People don't like that anymore. Definitely no carpeting.
No carpet.
Put, you know, if you can't afford hardwood, put laminate flooring down. It's very inexpensive. I did some recently. I went on YouTube. I figured out how to do it. And hey, it's like putting together a puzzle. Plus, it's therapeutic. You know, you want to sit down and relax, put the radio on, get your little rubber hammer and your little piece of metal and bang it together. And,
But
and
also, if you're not able to do that, you might be older, guess what? You can still sell out your house as is.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of interest in Bridgeport, especially. Whether it be the north end, the east end, give us a call. We'll give you a CMA that may surprise you. You may be like, oh, wow, I didn't know houses are selling around me like that. I'm like, yeah, especially those that own multifamilies, those with vacancies. You might have 2 units empty, afraid to rent, worry about eviction. This is a prime time for multifamilies, especially. I'm seeing a lot of people doing open houses for multifamilies. We can do that for you too.
Right. Years ago, you never did an open house for a multifamily, but that's becoming a normal thing now also.
Yes.
So there's things change. We're versatile. We can do all of these different things for you, but it's a very good time if you're looking to sell. Real estate goes through cycles. It goes
Yes.
up, comes down. It goes up, but it's like going up steps. You go up one step, down a little, up one step. But in the long run, traditionally over a period of years, real estate has always gone up, 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 up. May come down, but even when it comes, as long as it doesn't come down as much as it went up, you're still ahead.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially if you look at the trends. How many houses are they building? I say few to none. I'm seeing mostly luxury condos. I'm seeing mostly apartments. So those who are selling their house, remember, you have an asset. I see an article, came out, we talked about last year, where some houses are making more money than the owners. They look at their Zestimate, they say, oh, look how much my house went up. Like I said, a Zestimate is a rough average, but give me a call. I'll give you a very accurate selling point for your house, free CMA. Give us a call at that number right there. But we'll see. This market's been very healthy, I'll say.
The other thing is that, you may live out of state. We deal a lot with absentee landlords. The landlords have bought a property years ago in Connecticut, and then they move out of state.
Yes.
And they kept the property at that time for income. And now they're retiring. Well, years ago, they might have been in their 50s, 40s, 50s. It might have been easy to jump in the car and go down on the weekend and check on your property, cut the grass, make sure the grass is cut. Now you're maybe in the 75, 80 years old, you're retired, and you're not about to jump in the car and run down and cut the grass.
Nope.
or make repairs on the weekend. And on top of that, you had the property for income all those years.
Exactly.
And you now want to sell the property and recoup all of the sweat and equity and tears that you put in dealing with the tenants. Sometimes landlords, they don't want to actually, experience dealing with tenants anymore.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of landlords that give us a call. Maybe they have family members as tenants, you never know, and they're ready to sell a house as is with the tenants in it. They want to move on. They don't want to have to tell anybody to move. No evictions. And sometimes they're just exhausted. They're tired of fixing this, fixing that. They may be out of state. They may have moved further out of state. Maybe they were in New York, now they moved to Florida. It's more of a headache to go all the way back to Connecticut to fix that one thing. I would say give us a call. We'll do a free CMA for you, manage everything. We can do DocuSign over emails, have you sign paperwork, make it a very easy process.
Sure, we have people that sell properties or even buy properties out of the United States. They could be in another country.
Oh yeah.
For a trend there, for a while there, we had a trend where most of our customers are out of the United States. They were in Barbados, they were in Jamaica, they were in Europe. And, we had to remember every time we make a phone call what time it is.
Zone. Yeah, exactly.
You're going to make a phone call in the United States, it might be 10 o'clock in the morning, it might be 10 o'clock at night there, or if it's 8 o'clock here, it might be 4 o'clock in the morning. So we're like, did I wake you up?
Very true.
So,
and guess what? Each one of those landlords were just excited and surprised how much money we got them with this sale. One guy even hugged you last year, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
He was amazed. He got that much for the house. And like I said, it's still a seller's market, which means there's certain things that are perks that you're not going to have in a buyer's market. For example, I have customers that are selling multifamilies with tenants in them. I'm having people sell multifamilies that have a lot of, I'll say, clutter in them downstairs in the basement. Some investors say, leave it all. We'll take care of it because they know the value of the house and they know the equity you're going to get. Give us a call. A lot of out-of-state landlords think that there's a lot of things to do. You can sit back, have Tri-State handle everything.
Yeah, we had a couple recently bought a house in Trumbull, remember? And it had stuff in there that probably had been there for 50 years.
Yep.
I mean, the basement, upstairs, it had piano, it had, furniture, artwork, everything. And that one was, it wasn't an estate sale, but it was a family, older family selling the property. The
Yep.
relatives were selling. They said, you can just take everything. And in the listing, it said, anyone buying the house has to take all the furniture and take it as is. Everything has to come with the property. And, you know, we had fun going over there every now and then, looking through everything. It was things that we hadn't seen in years.
Yep.
I mean, camera equipment, the old camera equipment where you hold the thing in the air and you hit the button and the flash, the gunpowder, the flash, because the guy was a photographer.
Well, I want to say that's not always going to be the case. 'Cause I can easily say 10 years ago, when I sold a house, buyers made me aware, especially the lawyer, we want it broom swept, cleaned out, perfectly looking. We want nothing in there. Get all your trash out, all your old collectibles.
How
family
things have
heirlooms.
changed, right?
Now, I mean, I have a lot of people. They're just happy to get the house. Like, give us. Oh, there's an old was those giant cases with the dishes with china in it. Leave that there. We'll
Those
take
old
care of that.
hutches and all that.
The
thing.
hutches. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, those things are
Heavy,
heavy.
very heavy.
You say, oh, leave it there. We'll take care of it.
But like I say to my sellers, my people who own property, that's not always going to be the case. We can check this episode next year and we'll say it was not a good seller's market. Now we're going into a buyer's market.
Right, things don't stay the same.
They sure don't.
Now you can maximize. So if you're looking to sell a house, give us a call. You see the number there.
Yes.
We can come out, give you an idea of what your property is worth right now in today's market. And like my son just said, that doesn't mean that it always stays the same. Things go up, things come down.
Yes.
You want to maximize your investment.
Very true.
We get you. Our motto is we get you top dollar.
Top dollar.
Top
Tri-state.
dollar. In other
Top
words.
dollar.
So give us a call, and there's no cost for us coming out and talking to you.
Exactly. Very true.
So hopefully you got some insight into this episode, but look at all our others. Go to YouTube and
Yeah.
check out a lot of our
Check out our
episodes.
other episodes, definitely.
Till next week, God bless.
Amen.